Hi.
sit, please?
Please. Have your seat, please. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So, hi Riya, how are you?
I am fine. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very well. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you, sir, for giving me good evening, sir. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to introduce myself. I am elated to be here. My name is Riya Goyal. I am from Punjab. I am recently minted cost and management accountant with All India rank 8. I have secured All India rank 7 in my intermediate as well. To experience my corporate life, I have done my practical training from Maruti Suzuki India Ltd, where I exposed to certain fields like India's controllership and finance, etc. I did my graduation from Delhi University and schooling from DAV Senior Secondary School. Apart from my professional, my mother is a homemaker, my father is a businessman, and my brother is a product manager.
Okay, nice.
Thank you, sir.
So, you have been a ranker throughout your academic career, right?
Yes.
So, what you did differently from others? Like, what made you different so that you were able to secure a rank?
My main focus is, my main motive is consistency. I have maintained consistency throughout my internship period. My main focus is, after doing the whole work of internship in Maruti Suzuki, I made sure that I was able to do my regular classes, the classes which were held in morning. I able to complete that classes the whole night.
Okay, that's
So
nice.
that's the reason of my All India rank.
Oh, nice, great. I can see that you have worked in two divisions, business finance and accounting taxation. Which one did you like more?
I love more the business finance
Why so?
because of because I like the India's parts and I want to do some decision making, and in accounting it was all just about reconciliation of TDS and accounting entries and the overall flow of the accounting process. So I love the more finance part.
Okay, great. You said that you like the India's implementation, but how was Maruti recognizing its revenue?
Maruti recognized its revenue at a point of a time when the vehicles sale, when the goods are dispatched from the factory. At that point of time, Maruti recognizes its revenue.
So assume that, just a case, assume that Maruti is selling goods to KP Automotive, which is a dealer here in Rajasthan, and the contract is such that while the goods are in transit, the insurance will be borne by Maruti. Only on insurance will be borne by Maruti, and even the freight, but the freight is being borne by KP Automotive,
Yeah, dealer.
right? The dealer. Assume that these goods left Maruti's warehouse on 29th of March, and there's a probability that will reach KP Automotive in Jaipur on 10th of April. When would and how much would Maruti recognize the revenue?
Maruti recognized the revenue on 29th March itself.
29th March itself. Why so?
Because the goods are dispatched from their side, na? It's the responsibility of the dealer that the goods reach at their destination or not.
But as I said, that insurance is being borne by Maruti in this case. Don't you think this is a CIF transaction? Here the freight is being borne by the other party, but insurance is being borne by Maruti.
Cost, CIF includes both insurance and freight.
Fine. Since this condition is not clear, what other conditions are you going to check for determining when revenue has to be recognized?
I didn't understand the question.
The question is simple. Will you recognize revenue on 29th of March, or will you recognize it later on? If yes, on 29th March, what triggered the recognition of revenue on 29th March? How were you able to decide whether, like, how do you recognize revenue? What is the basic concept behind recognizing revenue?
In
As per
general or
Index
as per Index 115, when the performance obligation is
Right,
completed.
absolutely right. So in this case, have you completed a performance obligation on 29th March?
From Maruti Suzuki, they have completed the performance obligation because they have dispatched the goods, and it's FOB transaction because if insurance is bear by Maruti, but freight is bear by
So let's say if
insurance.
goods get destroyed when the goods were in transit, Maruti is going to get the claim, not the dealer.
Yeah.
So the control lies with Maruti because the risk and rewards both lies with Maruti. Don't you think revenue should be recognized or not? Okay, no problem. Think over it. Where do you see yourself 5 years down the line?
I see my. I want to grow. I want to learn. I want to associate with your organization, and after 5 years and 5 years down the line, I want to learn and grow. I see myself at a mid-size position where I will bridging the gap between higher level and the lower level. I want to implement. I want to execute my skills. I want to execute my skills and learnings to the team, to manage the team overall.
Okay. Any personal goals?
Yeah, I want to maintain my standard of living and want to improve my skills and want to work at the areas where I am weak and grow that area.
Okay, great. What are capital advances?
Capital advances means when the
And where do you disclose it in balance sheet?
we disclose as a separate head in non-current assets as capital advance.
Okay. But what are capital advances?
The advances which are in capital nature.
Okay. Advances which are in capital. So can you please elaborate on this? As you mentioned here that you have worked on 5-step model. Can you please elaborate on what all steps are covered in these 5-step model?
Of
Recognition of revenue as per investment files.
the first step is identify the contract. We have this, all the terms and conditions of both buyer and sellers are decided. All the rights and obligations, the payment terms, all are decided at the very first step of revenue recognition model. And the second step is identify the performance obligation. It means that when the seller promised to deliver the goods to the buyer. And the third step is identify transaction price. It means the transaction price includes variable consideration, fixed consideration, and all the other variable consideration, fixed consideration, all the things, the price of the goods that are to be sold is the transaction price. And the fourth one is allocate the transaction price to performance obligation. It means that performance obligation is satisfied whether over a period of time or at a point of time. And the fourth step is revenue recognition. The fourth step is allocate the transaction price to performance obligation. If there are two goods or the two services which are provided by the seller to the buyer, then the transaction price is allocated or a portion between the two of the services or the goods.
On
that
what
are
basis?
given. Sorry?
How do you allocate transaction price?
There are 2-3 methods like probability method or estimation method.
Okay.
And the last step is revenue recognition. When the revenue is recognized by the company, is it over a period of time or a specific or at a point of time? If the performance obligation is satisfied at a point of time, then revenue is recognized at a point of time. Otherwise, it will be allocated over a period of time.
Great. Nice. So assume IOCL through its one of the subsidiaries, Indian, is selling gas, LPG gas, right? And now they are supplying. So in few cities they are supplying LPG gas through a cylinder, as they do at our homes, and in few cities they are supplying gas through a pipeline. Right. Now in the second case, they are given this work to ensure that the gas reaches the household to a third party.
Through a third party.
To a third party, right? I mean, the pipeline belongs to Indian. The pipeline belongs to Indian. The customer, the amount that they are realizing from the customer will be given to Indian only, not to third party. Third party is only responsible for maintaining the pipeline and ensuring that the gas is being delivered to the customer or to the household. How will you recognize revenue in both the cases? In the first case where you are giving cylinder, and the second case where you are
pipeline through
yes,
a third
yes.
agency. And let me think.
Yeah, sure. Take your time.
In the first case, when the cylinder is dispatched to a customer, the performance obligation it completes when the seller delivers the goods. The payment date and the same date.
Yes.
There are
Yeah, yes. So you must be getting cylinder at home.
Yeah.
So when you receive the cylinder, you pay money.
Yeah.
So in this case,
the revenue is recognized when the cylinder is delivered to a customer.
so this is it a at a point in time case or is it over?
It is at a point of time.
Okay.
Yes.
What is the other one?
The other one is throughout because pipeline is throughout the continuously working.
Hmm.
So it's a contract.
Hmm.
I am
Right.
asking, it's a contract.
It's a contract. Yes, it is a contract.
For how many period?
Till the customer cancels the subscription.
So, in that case, the revenue recognized over a period of time until
Like
the
you have electricity connection at home. You have a water connection at home. That is a never-ending contract till you cancel it or till you get it deactivated. So even for gas also.
yeah, so the revenue is recognized over a period of time until the customer cancels the subscription or.
Yeah, what's your biggest strength and I mean, what's your USP? How are you different from? So we have other rankers also appearing before you. AIR 6 appeared. After you, there are multiple AIRs appearing. What makes you different from them?
I personally believe that I have a leadership quality. Like during my internship period, when I joined the Maruti, during my tenure of 1 month itself, one outsourced employee who trained me during that 1 month has left the organization, who was worked there for 10 years. And then the whole responsibility of the team was with me because all the work of him, he was doing for 10 years. Now the whole work lies on the me and we are searching for a new outsourced employee. Then when the new outsourced employee admits into the join the organization, then whole responsibility, then during my training period I trained that outsourced employee. The whole process I'll make him learn.
Even though you were an intern.
Yeah. Even during my internship, my training, I trained the outsourced employees. So I was also awarded the best trainee award from finance, Maruti Suzuki Finance.
Okay, that's great.
The second one, I believe that I am inconsistent in my approach. Like during my, like I told you earlier also that I ensure that I do my studies and my training side by side. I don't want to, because when I have given my intermediate exams, I made sure that once my articleship ends on Feb and I have to give the June 24 attempt and I succeeded in it.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I can see that you have reduced that from 15 days to 5 days in case of some scrap fund transfer. You've done some automation here.
Yes.
So can you please explain what you did here?
Actually, in Maruti, there is a scrap tender-based system. Scrap customer has two accounts. One is EMD and the other is running account. If when the customer applies for the tender, he has to deposit money in that EMD account. And if he wants to, if his tender does not make or maintain, then he wants to initiate the refund. Then we need to give the refund to that customer. So earlier there was all the process was manually done. Like business user needs to maintain the scrap finance with their manually, and the letterhead sign the advice manually, and then it comes to our finance department and the manual, all the procedure were done manually. But then I, with my manager, decides to automate that process. If it is possible to automate the whole process or not, then we decided to automate that process. If it is possible or not, then we take the permission of the managers or senior level DG, and then.
So how exactly did it? Like, what did you do?
All the manual advices which are made manually are the automated. Only the flow of the information is headed. Notification is flow from one department to another, that the advice to manually sign the advice.
I mean, did you, created any sort of bot, or did you, like, how did you automate it? I still could not understand, like, what you did exactly to automate the process.
Actually, we take the help of IT department and they automate. Then they use the bot system to fully automate the process.
Okay, fine. For you, what is more important, EBITDA or net profit?
Both are important at their stage. Actually,
So are you aware of recent changes that have been brought in Section 43BH of Income Tax Act, which is related to MSME?
yeah, I know we need to do payment within 15 days if the agreement is made between if there is a contract between the party and the MSME, and otherwise we need to do if there is agreement we need to do payment within 45 days, and otherwise we need to do payment within 15 days, otherwise interest penalty arises.
And how much is the interest on it? Yeah,
Interest penalty
percentage.
percentage 18%.
Are you sure? Is it under MSME Act or is it under Income Tax Act?
It's under MSME.
Are you sure on the percentage?
No, I'm not that much sure.
So assume that, fine, I think you should go back and check the percentage.
Yes.
Assume that you have a MSME vendor to whom you need to pay, and you have a contract with the person, so you have to pay within 45 days. And those 45 days are ending on 22nd of March.
Okay. Ending on 102nd March.
That 45-day period is ending on 22nd of March. And you have paid the amount on 28th of March.
Okay.
Will this expenditure be allowed in Income Tax Act in that particular financial year?
Not allowed in that
Not allowed.
financial year.
Why?
Because in 43B there is a system of outstanding payment is made but in the case of MSME it is not like this. If
Okay, I'm asking about income tax. So, will that expenditure be allowed under income tax?
from the point of view of income tax, right?
Yes,
Yeah. So in income tax it will be allowed.
it will be allowed.
Yeah.
Are you sure? Suppose there is a transaction on which TCS is also applicable and TDS is also applicable. Which one will sustain?
One and TDS will prevail
TDS will prevail. Why so?
because as per section 194O, there is a in
O or Q?
Q. As per TDS section 194Q, if by 0.1% is the rate which is deducted if excess sale is done over rupees 50 lakhs. So, and the same case is in the case of TCS also. I think I don't know the particular section name, like 206CH something. In that case also, TCS, if the seller sells the goods in excess of 50 lakhs, then the seller will collect the TCS at the rate 0.1% because there is an amendment in TCS rate also. So earlier it was 1%, now it was 0.1%. So the TDS will prevail because TDS always prevails over TCS.
Okay. That was my initial question. Why does TDS prevail over TCS? The answer is specific prevails over general. TDS has a very specific rate and specific section catering to the transaction, where TCS is quite broad. So TDS prevails over TCS because here the liability is on the assessee to deduct. So the tax is generally collected and there is a specific section, which means specific is prevailing over general. TCS is more general in nature, whereas TDS is very specific because there are
specific goods on which TCS applies.
Yes. So how do you recognize raw material in the books as per India's law?
Raw material is recognized at cost.
At cost. And how do you value the same?
Value the same cost or NRV, whichever is lower.
What are the different methods to determine cost?
So there are three methods: FIFO, weighted average, and standard method, standard price method.
In Maruti, which method were you using to value it?
Weighted average.
Weighted average. Okay. So let's say if you change the method from weighted average to FIFO, assume, is it a change in accounting policy or is it a change in accounting estimate?
Accounting policy.
Okay.
Because it is a retrospective effect.
That was my follow-up question. Will it have a retrospective effect or a prospective effect?
Yeah, it is a retrospective.
Retrospective means you will change,
From
you will give effect from day one.
prospective effect, because we need to change from day we change the policy from now onwards.
So my debt equity ratio has risen from 1.2 to 1.8.
1.2 to 1.2.
It was 1.2, yes, it has increased from 1.2 to 1.8. What other ratios will you look into to decide whether this is a good change or not a good change?
Matlab, I need to explain the ratios. Why
You have
debt to equity
entire
ratio.
finances available with you, and at the moment you are just looking at the debt equity ratio that it has changed from 1.2, which was last year, and now it has become 1.8. Okay. What other parameters in financials are you going to check? Financial, non-financial, both will work. To decide whether this is a favorable change or appropriate change or not appropriate change. What ratios will you look into? What other parameters will you look into?
The debt equity ratio increase, it means that the firm, if the firm has a stable cash flow, then it means that it is a levered firm. It is the firm is borrowing more. It means the firm is borrowing. If the firm has a stable cash flow, then the high levered firm is good for the organization. If the company has not stable cash flows, then it is not a good indicator. And the rest ratios we can see here is total debt to asset ratio,
Okay.
and return return on equity ratio.
Okay. So important to see return on equity ratio. Is it so important in this case?
See that how many we need to see how much the return we are expecting from the how our investment structure looks like.
Okay. But that you can always see from debt equity. Right?
We see that to total assets.
What about interest coverage ratio and debt service coverage ratio?
Debt service ratio includes the repayment of interest amount as well as principal amount, but in interest coverage ratio we will see only the interest amount.
So will you check these two ratios as well?
Yeah, because these are interlinked with debt ratio itself.
What additional things are you going to check? Non-financial parameters that you will go through.
You check the size of the industry.
Size. What
Yeah.
do you mean by size?
Size means operations, whether it is on the large scale or
Okay.
small scale. We'll check the wealth maximization of shareholders.
Anything related to credit rating reports?
The one we obtain from credit rating agencies. Yeah, we can see that. But that is the qualitative factor.
That is a qualitative factor, yes.
The
Not
report.
qualitative.
Because the report
I mean,
shows
if-
in numbers. No?
Okay. No, it does not show numbers, it shows the rating, AA, B. So if the rating is bad and still the company is taking a lot of debt, it can become risky because it has probably not been able to pay off on time, or maybe the management is not. There is a question of management integrity. Operationally, they are not doing that.
Then we will see also the board structure also.
Okay.
If they are doing any fraud or faulty
Not
management,
exactly.
faulty management.
Exactly. Okay, fine. What else? Anything related to operations? Anything related to balance sheet other than debt? Anything related to PP?
Assets.
Fine. Okay. We'll have a word on this later. So what's the last date by which I can claim input tax credit for a particular unit?
What is the?
What is the last date
Acha.
by which I can claim the input tax credit for a particular year?
Date of actual return or the 30th November of the financial year.
Actual
whichever is
return. Which return?
Annual return.
Annual return. Okay.
Date of annual return, last date of filing of annual return, or 30th November from end of financial year, whichever is earlier, the
Okay.
last date.
Good. Can we revise GST returns?
Yes.
Can I revise a GST return? Let's say if I'm filing 3B for this current period, let's say for September, next month in October, right? Can I revise return for September
After the date has
after
passed.
filing the return?
After the last date has passed, we can't revise GST at 3B.
We can't revise it. Let's say if I have to make some changes in 3B, how will I do it then?
You can change your GSTR1.
But GSR1 is generally filed before 3B.
Yeah. So you can change in GSTR1, which will automatically reflect in GSTR3.
No, I think you're not able to understand my question. I'm filing return for September period in October, right? In October, post filing the return on maybe 22nd, I got to know that there is some mistake in the return that we have filed for September, right? My first question was, can I change this return? You said no, we can't change it. Fine. Then if I have to make corrections, what can I do?
You can show it in the next return, the next month return you are filing. You
Okay.
can show that change in that return.
Where? Under which column? GST 3B, where? You are right, we can do it in the
Next
subsequent period.
Yeah.
Whenever you come to know about the particular problem, you just change it in the next period. But under which tab? Any idea?
Because I have not worked
In
in
GST.
GST.
Okay. What is DSO?
Days receivable, days sales outstanding, in which we check, you are asking the formula or interpretation?
In
Days
both.
sales.
Both.
Day sales turnover means day sales outstanding is the days upon average accounts receivables. 365 days upon average accounts receivables. It means that if the period is, it means that what is the time period when the company is collecting its debtors, the money received from the debtors. What are the days in which the
Okay.
company is collecting
Good.
its debtors?
Good. How can we reduce DSO? Give me certain measures. How can we reduce DSO?
By the receivable monitoring, the first step we can do is by making the aging and categorize the debtors in the following in the columns like 0 to 30 days, 30 to 45 days, and the debtors who are not giving the payment earlier than interest on the delayed payment, by offering some discounts to the debtors, by imposing interest penalty, and by offering discounts, cash discounts, by doing follow-up to the debtors to give the money earlier.
Can we get it discounted? Can we get our bills discounted?
Yeah.
What is section 16(2)'s proviso under GST?
16
Proviso.
conditions and conditions of the availment of ITC. In this, the various
So what does this specific proviso speaks about? Are you aware of the condition that the buyer needs to pay within 180 days?
Yeah, this is the second video. Buyer needs to pay within 180 days the tax with the value of supply. And if he is not paying that the amount within 180 days, then he needs to reverse the ITC.
Let's say if I have already taken credit, what will happen in that case?
Interest will be, and if you have already taken the credit, then you need to reverse the credit, and the interest at the rate of 18% will be applied.
18% per annum or per month?
Per annum. 18% per annum will be applied on the transaction.
Okay, good. Can I claim input tax credit for expenditure that I am making on CSR activities?
No.
No.
These are not.
Is this a specific disallowance, or are you disallowing it because it is not in the nature of, no, not in income tax, I'm asking about GST. Are you disallowing it because it is specifically mentioned, or are you disallowing it because it is not in the course and furtherance of business?
Because the government has specifically disallowed it in special nature, because of its special nature.
Okay. And what about insurance? Insurance that we take for employees, can I claim credit for the same?
Insurance for employees, it is in the nature of business to business, then we can claim it, otherwise not. But
Let's say Maruti is taking insurance for all its interns and employees. Can Maruti
No.
claim GST for the insurance it is paying?
If it is
GST on insurance, insurance premium that it is paying to the
if it
insurance
is
company.
obligatory in nature by the law, then only the Maruti can claim it, otherwise no, it cannot claim.
Fine. The company is not doing well, but company has good liquidity and cash flows.
It is not doing well, but it has good liquidity
And cash flows. How is it possible?
It can be possible if it has, from the point of view of cash flows, we can see that if the company is doing best in their operations and earning more from operations.
But if it would have been earning, it would have been doing well. I clearly said they are not doing well, that means they are not profitable.
If they are not profitable, it doesn't mean that their operations are negative, or if they are not doing good, it can be of various reasons like qualitative factors also.
Any other reason where the cash flows and liquidity can be good, but still they are not doing well?
From the point of view of matlab, outsiders, or from the point of view of investors?
Both. From the point of view of everyone, company as well as investors, all the stakeholders. Or let me give you one hint, so that you are able to think on this. Assume that they are selling their assets and realizing their investments.
Selling their assets and
They will get money, so their liquidity and cash flows will be good. Can there be another? There can be few other cases also. Can you think on that? This was one of them. Just a hint. Can there be more such transactions which can improve their liquidity and cash flow, but they are not doing that? Yes. What else? They are receiving dividends. Fine. What else?
paying interest on time.
They are paying interest.
They
How
not
come
open
their
for-
cash flows are good? Is GST applicable on IOCL?
matlab,
When it sells petrol,
No,
so GST is not applicable.
exercise duty. It is not applicable on petroleum products.
Okay. So what you mean to say is GST is not applicable in entirety on all IOCL businesses, right?
No, they are doing various businesses on the petroleum, on the specific petroleum product. GST is not applicable.
So that was my initial question. Is GST applicable on IOCL? If no, fine. If yes, on which products? So what do you feel?
If the
Will
transport-
GST be applicable on LPG cylinders, gas?
Yes.
So that means it is
It
applicable.
is applicable on LPG and the transportation of gas
Yes.
from
Yes.
customer.
So it means it is applicable in IOCL.
Yeah,
only on petrol it is not
petroleum it is not applicable.
Yeah, so that was the initial question. Is it applicable in IOCL? Yes, it is applicable. It is not applicable on one single product, which is petrol and diesel.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it is applicable on all other products, CNG, LPG, whatever they say. The transportation, right? Are you aware of recent amendment that has been made in capital gains under the in this budget itself? Please elaborate on this.
The very first one is the 111A, the short-term capital gain. The rate. Do you want me to explain the rates?
Yes.
And
Yes.
yeah, the
Rate and what was the erstwhile provision and what is the provision?
111A, it is of short-term capital gain. Earlier the rate was 15% and now it was increased from 15 to 20%. Now the second one is 112, the long-term capital gain. In this, In this, the rate is reduced from percent to 12.5%, and the indexation benefit is not available now. Earlier it was available, the indexation benefit, and the third change was 112A. In that the limit of 1 lakh increased to 1,25,000. The benefit of the limit which we can claim earlier was 1 lakh, and now we can claim 1,25,000, and the rate was increased from 10% to 12.5%.
So assume where I cannot take indexation benefit and I have to pay LTCG at flat rate of 12.5%. Can I claim exemption under section 54?
We can't claim the exemption under section 54 because the rate is flat 12.5%.
Can you just run me through, how Schedule 3 under Schedule 3 Division 2 balance sheet looks like?
Means the heads.
The heads and what specifically comes under the heads.
Like non-current assets. The first one is non-current assets. In that, I need to explain the only whole heads here. Terms under whole.
Terms under that particular heading.
Non-current assets, PPE. Tangible assets, PPE, and land and building.
So is it separately disclosed or is it a part of PPE?
It is a part of PPE.
Okay. PPE is not fine. What else?
Intangible assets, goodwill, patents, copyrights in the intangible heads. Then financial assets. Then current assets, trade receivables, short-term advance and loans, cash and cash equivalents, inventory. Then total of the assets part, then equity and liabilities, the shareholders funds, share capital, reserves and surplus, then non-current liabilities, long-term borrowings.
Do we disclose reserve and surplus separately? Or we disclose as other equity?
We will disclose that other equity. And in notes to accounts, we will disclose securities, payment, reserves and surplus.
So as you said that there's a bifurcation of current and non-current, right? How do you decide whether a particular item is current or non-current?
It depends on the operating cycle of the organization. If the let's suppose if the operating cycle is of 12 months, if the income or the assets which is realized within 12 months within 12 months, then it will be current assets. Otherwise, it will be non-current. It depends on the operating cycle of the organization.
Okay, fine. Let's say Maruti is selling car, along with it also sells 4 free services. Free services to the customer, right? How do you assume that, let's take a very simple example, assume Maruti is selling Alto, and for the sake of calculation, let's keep it as the car is getting sold at 3 lakh rupees. Right? Since the service is done by the agency, by the dealers, right, the service dealers, how does Maruti recognize revenue? How much revenue does Maruti recognize?
They are giving
you can take any assumption to answer the question.
They are giving the free services when they are selling the car. Then the revenue is recognized at a point of time because the performance obligation is complete from the Maruti and they are giving the free services. And if the services, like the warranty, if they are giving free warranty, and if they are giving the free warranty with the
is
car,
it warranty or is it like other than warranty service? So is giving 4 free services in the nature of warranties, or is it something different from warranties?
It's the policy of the company that they are giving 4 to 3 washing services. Yeah.
Okay, no problem. Check out. That's all from my side. Any questions from your side? I have one more question. Why do you wish to join IOCL and EIL? Let me ask one more question then. Give me accounting entry for booking a provision for bad debt.
Bad debts, to provision for bad debts.
Provision for bad debt. That means You are booking a bad debt now, but we are only making a provision.
When we are making the provision for bad debts, it's like bad debts account debit to provision for bad debts.
Forget the debtors part, okay, the bad debt part. You are creating any provision. How do you create a provision?
Asset to provision for.
Asset to provision.
We are creating the
Okay,
provision.
so there is a bad debt account then in the debit side, and there is a provision created
On the credit.
on the credit side. Right. That's all. Will you not book it as in the payment statement?
No, after that we will adjust the we'll send the provision for bad debts to P&L.
Provision for bad debt to P&L.
No, P&L to provision for bad debts.
So now the first entry was bad debt to provision, the second entry is P&L to provision. So provision has been created twice. You have created a debtor asset
We
here.
send P&L account debit to provision for bad debts.
Fine. That's all from my side. Any questions from your side? No? Okay, Riya, thank you. HR will get back to you.
Thank you, sir.